to the Black Quant VTF here at T3 Live, and if it's Tuesday, it's the Wheels in Motion shoe. So let's take a look at what we got. So first of all, most people, besides us, don't realize or consider that we're in exhaustion week. And what does that mean? What that means is that the month is about to end, right? So this is about to form the equilibrium, the inside month, unless we break out of here. So going forward, the question, I'm going to blow that up for you, make sure you see that. Completely within this month's range, just like we had when right in here, February, March, just like I said at the beginning of the month. So the question now, once we form this, which side do we break? All right, that's definitely what we want to know about. Hold on one second. So I got to let some more folks in here. 1 second. And there we go. So once we form that equilibrium, now we want to know which side that we break, because we had the QQQ breaks down but doesn't fall apart. So right here we got 3-2 to the downside. All right, so it's still a 2-month down. So for next month coming up, which side of this are we going to take out? And so we take a look at these weeklies, and what are we doing right now? We're forming inside weeks for SPY, Qs, and diamonds. All right, so all this stuff is going to matter down the road, and that's why, because when we're forming the equilibrium, we could easily go back and forth and back and forth. You got an outside day for the diamonds. You see this tight range down in here. That's your inside week forming, and SPY doing the same. So another thing we want to look at, besides these inside months, is, when people talk about, oh, it's the end of the world and all this and everything, that's already bear market. Well, there's a little thing called Dow theory, and I'm not totally onto Dow theory because things can move independently. We know that, as we've seen with the NASDAQ and stuff like that. But we do have the transports here. They're up this month. They're up on the month, and they're inside. So how do you get outside of this month? Not only how do we get outside of this month, but the previous month. But transports are green. XLU actually took out the recent highs, working its way up. So if they're really going to take them down, like when they take the market down, they take them all down, right? That stuff, that would have to change, and we'd have to see some of that stuff. So exhaustion week, a lot of inside months forming, so we want to be aware of that. We've got Fed speak tomorrow. We got an oil number, all that kind of stuff. So we'll just take it as we see it. So it's like IBB. You're going to see this like a doji month. And you can see this is closer to taking the downside. But like I said, with the weekly, so we're not going to look at the monthlies until next week, because right now they're all exhausting. So we just want to look at stuff like in the week to see what's going right now. So if we go to some of the IBB stuff, you can see the IBB trying to go take one side down, then other 2-2 back up. You've got VRTX here doing that, and there's your 2-2 reversal. Remember, there's only 3 ways price can reverse. 2 in one direction, a 2 is taking one side of the previous range, an inside bar is at 1, and a 3 is an outside bar, taking out both sides of the range like so. So one of the ways price reverses, 2 in one direction here, and then reverse 2 back up. So right now VRTX is 2-2 reversal to the upside. ILMN right on the cusp of that, so you can watch that with the bios as well. Let's see, we've got EXPE here. This is 2-2 back up over 117.39. It's just barely right there, but it is what it is. And so these levels you can go for the rest of the week. We got Whirlpool here coming up here, and Whirlpool has been a lot higher, and this is still, the monthly's still good right now, and that's 2-2 monthly reversal coming back up into the greater try like so. Clorox here, still 3-2 monthly and going to the highs. Talked about this a few times. This is called Momentum Hammer, 2-2 up, which it did. It's just exhaustion risk by going into the highs, but we can watch that always with XLP. And XLP gives you an inside day, so we'll see what they want to do with those. And for inside days tomorrow, you've got Apple and Facebook, certainly 2 major ones that you'd want to keep an eye on, and maybe even and Bitcoin, I think, are all inside days, so we'll see. On retail, you've got Walgreens here, and that's still above last month's highs. And so this is important because this is what I'm showing you is how to identify things that aren't consolidating, right? And we might have some exhaustion risk by going into the highs, but we're taking out last month's highs. And one of the reasons that's important is not only does it tell us it's a 2, which means it's trending. Anybody short this thing got what they wanted last month. They got the market to tank, right? What happened? This went up, and it's still going. So that's a good way to stick it to the shorts. And you still have some room in there, so we'll see how much more that's got. And you can watch CVS with that, even though it's still inside week. You can look for the weekly break here of 80.06. Kimberly Clark, KMB, taking out last week's highs and trying to take the month highs here, and you can watch that with the XLP. DVA, and DVA, big outside monther, which gives you the fractal triangle like so, weekly, like here, boom, higher highs, lower lows, higher highs, lower lows, higher high, lower lows, and now trying to go 2 week back up into this. So you certainly can keep an eye on that. If we go to more retail, DDS. Now this is going to stay inside this mother bar. This is a 3-1-2 going back, but that is a sub triangle. So be aware that you're still in this mother bar, but it is back weak to the upside here on DDS, and it's got a gap that it's trying to come after here, and you can watch that with retail. Williams Sonoma. And Williams Sonoma trying to come up into a gap itself here, and what that does is do this. Here, the 3-2-2, and then 2-2 reversal off the hammer, so you can see if that keeps walking up into the gap over there. Airlines, Alaska Airlines comes up and just barely on last week's highs, but you do 2-2 on the month to the upside, and you've got Delta doing the same, and Delta's also inside week to the upside to see if we can come up on some of this stuff like in here. You can watch all the airlines together. I believe JetBlue is 3-2 weeks partially the upside, so we'll see if they pick up any steam over there. Spirit Airlines. Unfortunately, that's a gapper, so you're going to have to disseminate this gap, so we'll see how that handles the gap up there. More tranny Hertz, and Hertz doing this. Weekly, 2-2 hammer back up, trying to come up into the greater try up into this stuff. It's also taking out last month's highs. It's also inside and then down, so 1, 2, 2 rev strat scenario to try and come after this stuff, which would be nice. Just running out of time. BABA, and BABA's still inside month, but it does give us this, the inside, outside, inside, and then up. And the reason that's important is because what you did is you have your 3-1, 3-1. So you have that range expansion, contraction, range expansion, contraction. If that continues, that should have been the nicer move, but we'll see. There's still a few days left in that. On BABA, BKNG, the old price liner, that's still an inside week. But if you look at the daily, you're going to see this big old try to keep an eye on. So if this thing starts moving through here, that's something I'm going to want to know about and look for continuation patterns. Cree. And Cree for the month. Hammer month back up 2-2. I'm trying to do that on the weekly as well. So we'll see if there's anything more. Cree. Colgate, more XLP stuff, still inside week, and the big monther tries like so here to see if this one's, if the XLP survives and starts going back up again. Come on, draw me a line like so, and if we go to the weekly, you're going to see this here. So if we can start coming through that stuff, that would get my attention. You can watch that with the rest of the XLP. More retail LB coming back, and granted that's most likely going to be an inside week, but so far they ditched it down here and starts racing back through the try. So any continuation patterns up through here, fill the gap or more, gets my attention. PCG, the much maligned puker. Now, inside week to the back to the upside. The 2-1-2 reversal. I'm trying to come back up. Big mother bar, but we'll see if they forgive them. Thermo, TMO, and slight inside week to the upside. Still would be inside month. But if it stays inside month, you'd have this, the 3-1er setup for the inside month break. So you can see if it continues off that inside week to the upside. DAR, D-A-R, inside week to the upside. Nice day here. You want to see if this kind of power right in here And right in here comes back, right? Because you got your inside week and up. You're just going into the higher highs. Motorola and Motorola. Also in the week, coming up on this thing, stalls out just a tad, but if it doesn't make it, that would also be the 3-1 monther. NVRO. NVRO, still red on the month, but you've got RevStrat weaker. Now, it's already taking care of business on these, and what by that I mean when you get the RevStrat, you're just looking to take this out, and if you're lucky, get all the way up into there, but we can continue to look for continuation patterns in that for the rest of the week. MindBody MB doing the same. Etsy, RevStratter, and all this is all in the mother bar here. So even if we don't get out and do this, then it reverts to a 1 coming up here. Because when you don't get out of the mother bar after you have a 1, all of this reverts to inside because you couldn't get outside of that. So very important to remember. Agilent letter A is 3-2 weak to the upside. Hilton, 3-2 weak to the upside. Autodesk, 3-2 weak to the upside. Footlocker and Western Digi, slightly inside weak, or 3 weak to the upside. On the downside, they're hitting the steel tariffs. So letter X, monthly, 2-2 monthly to the downside. Started pummeling it more today, so you're taking those. You just got some exhaustion risk, but so far so good. You got STLD, pick. So you can see all this kind of stuff picking up steam. RS and RS here, taking out last week's lows. Still got this kind of stuff to take out here. So the new core, all your buddies taking out last week's lows. And you're going to watch TECK, maybe some Alcoa, all the metals getting pounded. You got ENDP. ENDP inside week and down in the bio, so we'll keep an eye on that. Haynes Celestial, inside week down and just going into oblivion, like so. COG and the energies, and we got a number tomorrow on COG. Somewhat a tight triangle here on the monthly, but good enough for me if it goes here. Takes out the inside week and comes ripping all the way back through that stuff. Definitely keep an eye on that. Had a disaster in pizza today, so we'll see if that keeps going. It's off the lows, but big 3-dayer, so we'll see what comes of that, as it gave it the old inside week and downer on the news. Gold having an issue here too, and gold is probably going inside month here, almost for sure, but you do on the week have that little break there, and we can see if anything more comes of that. Like our GLD is inside week and down. You can always watch GOLD. Still some pretty tight ranges, but if gold keeps puking, we know what to do. And of course, for more bang for the buck over there, JDST, and that's 2-2 week back up. GIII getting slammed today, and that's going to give you an outside week here. That's going to go 3 here, and so you've already taken all this stuff out. The question is, are we going to be weak enough to come down through this stuff? We shall see. DY just selling into oblivion, and that's taken out last month's week's lows. All these things going through the lows, so continuation patterns there with exhaustion risk. AERI in the bio, taking out last week's lows, getting pummeled on the month. And today here was much better when you get them to triangle out like this. So you got some exhaustion risk by going into the lose. All right, you've got LIN. An LIN new issue. But monthly, it's big old puker and coming down an inside week to the downside. Here, Oracle. Oracle also getting here, taking out last week's lows. We'll see. It's still inside month, but we'll see what comes of that. ACAD in the bio, had high hopes for you to come back through all this stuff, but now 1 bar RevStrat weekly to the downside, and that's taking out last month's lows. If they want to come down and revisit these guys if things don't work. Over there, we've got IMMU. IMMU, big outside monther, and now inside week to the downside. If they want to keep going, you got some exhaustion risk because you're going straight into the recent lows. VKTX. VKTX, inside week to the downside. And monthly to the downside if they want to rebuke this thing, if you're not for reals. You got Alta finally coming in here, and Alta does this. It exhausts on the month. It goes up in here, so going to stay green on the month, but for the weekly, you go 3-2 to the downside. See if they want to bring her in a little bit more. RPM, also 3-2 down on the week. HMSY, 3-2 down on the week. LW, and that's just taking out last week's lows, so we'll see how that goes, because you got a lot of this stuff in here, and that also sets up potential monthly shooter up in here if they want to keep puking her. And if you go back to the daily here, you'll see here it just started to break here, and you've got a bunch of these levels to try and go after if they want to keep hitting it. AVNS gets pummeled into the lows, having all sorts of trouble on the month and taking out the week's lows, so just an exhaustion risk, but certainly on the ropes. Keep an eye on that. And from our gap or less PLT yesterday, gaps down, still going, and you can see what kind of a month this thing's having. So big outsider month. Still more stuff over here to go after. So that's going to do it. Like I said, it's going to be a lot more exciting once we get all these inside months to form. We've got some news to get rid of out of this weekend as we come into the holiday season and all that kind of stuff. Get them inside months, because once you have a big concentration like that, that oftentimes can lead to a big move, because we get them all to break at the same time, the simultaneous break. That's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith in the Black Quant VTF here at T3 Live at the Wheels in Motion show.